So let's do a couple more of these just so that you can get the main idea. And I'll do a few more decimals this time. Let's say we have 157.4, and we'll divide this by, let's say, 1.65. So if you want to see it written as that fraction and then converted to whole numbers first, let's do that. So this is 157.4 divided by 1.65. And the number you're dividing by, you don't want that to have any decimals. So if we multiplied this bottom by 100, that will move the decimal over twice and you'll get rid of all the decimals. This will, in fact, will just become 165. So if you multiply the bottom by 100, you got to do the same thing to the top. Otherwise, you change the number. You change this division problem. And 157.4 times 100, you end up moving that decimal twice, just like you did in the bottom. And we're going to have to fill in a 0 there at the end. So you get 15,740. So all we did was just move that decimal twice, and moving it the second time created the need to fill in that 0 there. So you could also think about it as 157.40 and then just moving it twice from there. So this is ultimately the problem that we're going to have to do with our long division. Now, seeing it the other way, you would start by putting 165 into 157.4. The number you divide by goes on the outside. You move that decimal twice, which means you have to move that one twice and fill in a 0 there. So you still get the same problem. This just explains more why we can do this, moving of the decimals. So we get the 165 going into 15,740. Now, the actual division for this problem is fairly complicated because the numbers are pretty big. But the main point of this video is just to show you how to set up these problems and essentially get rid of the decimals so that you just get a normal division problem. Now, for this one to actually solve it, you have to ask 165. Well, it doesn't go into 1, 15, or even 157. So you got to go all the way to 1574 and ask how many times 165 goes into that. And we can guess 9, because 1650 would be 10 times. So then you carry out this multiplication. So 9 times 100 is 900, plus 9 times 60, which is 540. 9 and 540 make 1440, and then 9 and 5 is 45. So 1440 plus 45 would be 1485. And from here, we subtract, find that remainder, and we'll probably have some kind of decimal. So carry up the 1, that becomes a 16, that becomes a 4. So this is a 9, this is an 8. So you get 89 there, you carry down a 0. And you repeat, 165, how many times does it go into 890? And it looks like about 5 whole times, and 5 and 165 would give us 825. This one is fairly difficult to do without the calculator. You might even need a calculator just to check your multiplication guesses along the way. Now, when we subtract here, 25 away from 90 would be 65. And now we've passed the decimal place, so you got to put that up here. And the 0 starts coming down. So 165 should go into this 3 or 4 times, so we can guess. And if you do it 4 times, it would be 660, so it's too much. So we got to do it 3 times, which gives us to 495. Now, like I said, this one is a pretty challenging one. This one's going to keep going, and I'm not going to finish it. I just wanted to give you the process of how this is done. So let's do another one just to finish it off that's a little bit simpler. Let's do 29.88 divided by 0.36. So to start this problem, I'm just going to rewrite it using the long division method. So we put 0.36, the number we're dividing by, goes on the outside. And 29.88, the number we're dividing into, goes on the inside. Now, we don't want to divide by decimal. We want to divide by a whole number. So we're going to move this decimal place twice. And likewise, with this number on the inside, we have to move this one twice as well. So it goes past this second 8, and this one will just become a whole number, 36. So 36 goes into 29.88. And now that we've gotten rid of our decimals, we can actually carry out the long division without running into complications. But remember, this method essentially just comes from taking 29.88 divided by 0.36. Let me just rewrite that. And multiplying top and bottom by 100 so that we can get rid of these decimals. And once you multiply it by 100, it just becomes this problem down here. So that's the why as to why we can do this. But let's carry out how it actually works. So 36 goes into 298. Let's guess about 8 times. And 8 and 36, if you multiply those together, you get 288. We can subtract here, find that difference. You get 10. We can bring the 8 down. Now 36 goes into 108 3 times. And it goes in exactly 3 times, since 3 times 30 is 90, 3 times 6 is 18, 90 plus 18 is 108. So in this case, you get no remainder. If we were to carry out the decimal, it would just stop right there. So 83 is actually our final answer. So this is one you might see on the exercises where it actually does work out to a nice whole number rather than some decimal that might take quite a bit to figure out.